Hey everybody, it's Sam the Reclaimer developer, and one thing I'm wanting to do more of on this channel is have more people on to give them an opportunity to talk about things that either they're working on or they're interested in, and just all in all, just people who to have interesting conversations with. And today's guest is Jenna Recktenwald. She's an author who recently published her first book. I have a copy of it right here, The Red God. You can find this on Amazon. It's a self-published book, and a little bit more about Jenna Recktenwald on the back of it. She grew up in Kentucky, where she spent most of her time. Maladaptive daydreaming and rock hunting in creeks. She wrote short fiction stories from a young age with sci-fi romance and deep moral undertones being her favorite themes. It's a suspenseful horror novel that also has allegories of consequences of continuing the cycle of abuse and how you can break that cycle for those that you care about, especially any future children that you may have, so that they don't have to experience the same things that they did. So this is a awesome book. I had the awesome opportunity to proofread this before it was even published. And the thing about the author is she's my wife. So it was awesome being able to just hear her ideas on this and the inspirations behind it. And if she wants to talk more in detail about the specifics of what she went through, she'll have the opportunity to do that on, her own channel or other networks that she has. All of her, all the ways that she can be reached will be linked in the video description. Also, I'll leave a link for the book as well. But one thing I want to note to those who may want a copy of the book. You can find her contact information online. I will put it in the description as well, like I said. But if you're someone who is in a circumstance either where you think you could benefit from the message in the book, or someone who may be able to benefit from the message, either whether it's yourself or someone you know who would benefit from this book, just shoot her a message outlining your circumstances, and she'll just send you one for free. So, and also there are helpful links. If you or someone you know is dealing with abuse, neglect, or whatever, there are helpful links in the book that that you can find helpful. The point of the book is just to illustrate that if you're in one of those circumstances, you're not alone. So I'm gonna, enough talking from my side. Jenna Recktenwald is the most inspiring person I've ever known, and is the love of my life. I don't know how else to say it, and I am so blessed to be a part of her life. So without any further ado, here's Jenna Recktenwald. Okay, so sitting here with the author of The Red God, Jenna Recktenwald. So first of all, thanks for talking to me.
Yeah, I'm your wife, so you asked me to come.
Yeah. I just wanted to, well, first of all, I've mentioned you a couple of times, like in my videos, that it's like I have a wife and daughter, and who I'm just as passionate about as my it's like my projects that I like to have on YouTube, and I want to have more people on who I think also do really interesting stuff, who are passionate about things, who just say, I've always wanted to do something, so they just do it. And also I think you're pretty neat. So so why don't you just kind of say a little something about yourself, like if you wanted people to know who you were, like as an author, as like just whatever, just tell us anything about yourself.
So I guess it all started when I was a child. I was very young, as children are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I always had a lot of stories in mind, and I kept them in my head for like 2 decades, or just shared them with friends or something. But I guess something changed when I hit 30. I'm just like, I need to stop being afraid of things, and I need to do things. So I finally did it. I wrote out one of the stories that had been in my head. One of many. The first one. The Red God.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to describe it sometimes. Going into too many spoilers. It's half like horror novel, half kind of an adventure. You're following this 11-year-old girl, Mara.
Mm-hmm.
But also it has deep moral undertones. I like to kind of hide morals in all of my stories. Maybe I'm weird like that, but I want there to be a point to a story.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely hidden in there. So this girl, Mara, she has kind of a troubled home life. She goes to a family wedding, and yeah, again, without spoiling too much, a lot of drama, a lot of things happen, a lot of blood eventually,
Mm-hmm.
And again, with like a big message. And you can see on the title, it speaks a lot about generational abuse and family cycles, dysfunctions, things like that, and kind of...
I can hold her too. 'Cause
Sure. Yeah, that's very distracting. I love you though. Just how there's more hope than just continuing those damn cycles again and again and again and
Mm-hmm.
again. And spoiler, a lot of this was kind of based off my life.
Mm-hmm.
All the names and genders and everything changed. No one can sue me. But a lot of things that were messed up, and I don't know. I kind of wanted to hide my life story in there, so that someone knows it and someone can hopefully be inspired to stop those cycles.
Mm-hmm.
This might be getting too into the weeds, but that's kind of our life story together.
Mm-hmm.
We both came from dysfunctional families. We both stopped a lot of patterns. And now we have this cute little next generation here.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's not going to have so many of the problems that we had. Yeah, I don't like to go into a whole lot of details, but you can do better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of this book in a nutshell. It's whether you're the one that went through it, you're the one that just has that in their family in general, you're the one that sees that in a niece of yours, nephew, a friend of a friend, you can do better, and everyone can do better. And to just, I don't know, get inspired to be bold and stop it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I hate is people are very kind of, I don't know if the word is scared or a little apathetic, like, oh, what can I do? And I get it, I do. But I want this book to kind of grab someone by the collar and be like, no, you saw this bad thing, or you're seeing this bad thing happening, or it's happening to you. Do something. Take some action. So I hope that people would read the book, and, it might cause some turbulent emotions, but hopefully maybe I'll get an email in a year that they go, I'm so glad I read this, and I'm so glad I made this change, and this person is no longer causing harm, or this thing is not going to happen to my kids, or, just a lot of that. I hope that it causes.
It's like if it causes those turbulent emotions, and it's almost like you found the right book for yourself.
Yeah, the books are supposed to make you feel things. If they don't, then you're probably reading a dictionary or one of your coding books.
There's actually a mountain of books over there that I was using for another video I'm going to be doing later, but
I'm going to leave when you start making that video. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I work in tech too, but I can't read all those books after I get done with work.
Well, since, I was going to go there, but, you kind of brought that up. So, you are a woman in tech. As much as you're comfortable talking about that, why don't you, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience? You don't have to give specifics about, where you work and like coworkers and stuff, but
Yeah.
like maybe just a little bit about your experience of where you started and where you are now, and sort of like just a brief overview of that journey.
I feel like part of it also ties into the bad home life, because it was, I'm gonna be vague, but very controlling, very tight. I was not really allowed to like get out of the house and get a job. So I got one online because no one could stop me. If I had a laptop and I was working at 2 a.m., no one could stop me. So I started with online jobs, kind of like, I don't know, personal assistant. I would make reservation for someone, little stuff like that when I was like a teenager. And then all that stuff didn't make much money. And, everyone says money in tech, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to get some way, kind of go in there, go a little sideways. I started out as a tier 1 customer support salesperson, probably kind of akin to a little bit working like fast food. You just get a lot of abuse from clients, or at least the 1% not good ones. A lot of clients are lovely, but the 1% that kind of wants to yell at someone, they'll find you to yell at.
The loudest ones.
Yes. Paid about minimum wage. Not the best start, but I am damn stubborn. So did that job for a little while, all the while looking at the tier 2 people, the prestigious level 2 techs, and just bothering them with questions. How do you do that? What's the documentation for this? I saw you fix this ticket, but you didn't leave notes on how you fixed it. Can you tell me how you fixed it? And kind of just sneaking through there like I'm going to get into that job. And I just kept going. The next job I was at the same level as a tier 2 techs. And then the next job I was one level above, sysadmin, and then the next job I was sysadmin, then went to DevOps, and then DevOps team lead. I'm surprised no one has caught me, that I'm like, I feel like I'm a little kid that doesn't know what they're doing almost. I'm like, how has no one caught me? The imposter syndrome, which I think is also common in women, that we feel like that. But no, it's been good. It's like, find something to be stubborn about and keep being stubborn in it. I don't know, that would kind of be my advice if anyone asks.
So I guess like I've always talked about like how you and I have chosen, or like, not that it's like we've had different journeys, but we've ended in similar destinations.
Yeah.
And I was gonna go into like the differences, like where like the differences in our journey, but it's like I think I would have just said like I'm insatiably curious. You're just insatiably stubborn. So
I'm curious as well. One thing I also found at jobs, I would see something that maybe wasn't in my job title, like I'm strictly customer support sales, but I see that they have a broken website or something like that, and I'd be like, well, technically I have access to check their logs. So I would stay an hour late and check stuff. Curious mixed with stubbornness, but then eventually people would be like, all right, well, Jenna's doing the tier 2 stuff. We didn't tell her to do it, but she's doing it, so we're gonna let her do it. Just kind of doing that.
Like, I think that's a really good word. And I think that, like I heard this from, like, a role model of mine, Mike Acton, who I've cited a bunch of times on this channel. He said, like, the best thing that you could be for, like, succeeding in, like, niche, tech positions is curiosity.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I can't praise some of my coworkers enough that, I'm a team lead, but I don't boss them around because they find some tiny little thing that they suspect is wrong, and they just poke until they're like, hey, this whole thing is wrong, but I already fixed it. Curiosity is amazing in any sort of tech job. I would take a curious amateur over someone that's not curious, but they have all the levels of schooling.
Like, they could have 15 letters after their name, but it's like, you put something in front of them and they're just like, I don't really care that it works this way or that way. It's just like, here's the ticket, and I'm only going to do the one thing. I saw something that probably could be improved, but it's like, what the hell? It's like, it is what it is.
That's the person that you might have to kind of keep on top of a little bit. And I mean, that's not my favorite thing to do. People don't like it when people do that to them. I don't like to do it to them. So if someone's naturally curious, it's going to work out a lot better. They're just going to tell me they already fixed some deep root cause, and I'm just going to be like, awesome.
It's like, in tech today, given how, like, I guess the state of the software industry is so bad with, like, things just being overly complex more than they need to be.
Yeah.
And it's just like, something may be just working badly or could be done better. And it's like, I don't understand why it's like, as engineers, someone would, it's like, it could come down to like the bottom line. They don't have the time, they don't have the resources. It's like, more reasonable type stuff, but just not doing something because you can't be bothered or you just don't give a damn.
I would also put an asterisk in there. I think a lot of it gets overly complicated because someone that might not be involved in architecting wants to use a specific platform or service. Now, this isn't in my job, but some other jobs I've heard. There's a lot of this thing going on where they'll say, hey, I heard AI is good. Can you put AI in our product?
Oh,
and
God.
they don't even know what it is exactly. They don't know how it would tie in. They don't know any of that. They just kind of give the orders further down the chain. So then you get this weird conglomerate, It just works a little better if the people designing it have some freedom to say what should go into it and what shouldn't. You'll probably have a more streamlined product.
Yeah. So, just kind of on that note, just more lightheartedness, I guess. What is the weirdest buzzword thing that you've ever heard, like either from a request, either from management or a client? I can give you an example, because you talked about, like, in tech, it's like people want AI, or they want blockchain, or they want, it's like NFTs, crypto. It's like, what is the latest trend? Like, what's popping, And they want to just throw that in there. Or they say something as if everyone, it's like, of course, everyone understands what this means. As, like, in recent news, Microsoft shuttering 4 studios, one of them putting out a very successful product led by someone, or at least, I don't know if it was the lead, but they had a very influential person on their team who was like the director of the Resident Evil series or something like that. And they said, we're gonna take this opportunity to focus on high impact games, as if that meant something.
Yeah.
But it's like, what the hell is high impact? There was a meeting at a previous job that I had where we had the architect of our software like in the meeting with the customer to kind of like reason about like what changes need to be made to the code base to make the request happen. And they're trying to talk in like a more unifying way, like we all have the same goals. But they said our purpose is singular. And
just that phrase.
That was
Our purpose is singular.
Yes, and our architect had like just the grimacing emoji and the phrase "our purpose is singular" as his Slack status for like 2 months. And it's like this happens all the time, where it's like the moment you put executives with developers in the same room, those phrases happen all the time. And it's like, I know we as like tech-oriented people can throw out a lot of jargon, but like, it's like, okay, we get it. You don't have to do it back at us or something like that. But yes, we do as tech people have to tone that down a little bit. Do you have like anything in your field or in your experience where something like that happened?
So I should give a little detail in my field. I work specifically in web hosting. So, we manage the servers that people put their website files on, and then when you go www whatever in your browser, it hits our servers and loads those files in the database and everything, and goes up to your browser.
Yep.
So specifically in my niche little field, we, I feel like, don't have as much as that because we're hyper focused on the big one, speed. I mean, of course, security and bandwidth, all these other things as well, but speed is kind of king. If you tell your client their website is locked down with 10 million padlocks and neat stuff, but it takes 5 seconds to load the website, no one is going to use you. So speed is everything. So along with that, we don't typically have a whole lot of like buzzword type stuff going in because that would get stopped at the door.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone mentioned that, if we're gonna somehow mix in AI between the web server, no, that like would not happen. We're testing it. If it adds a millisecond, we're like, no, that's not going in.
It's like, this smells like a 10-second response time.
Yeah, I do have one example though. This wasn't in my exact field. This wasn't in the web server. This wasn't in CDN or whatever. This was in the client-facing website, and you know, if a client says my website's down or had a question about the sales package, whatever, you know, they go to the website, they go contact, and normally that would open up a chat or show our phone number or a ticket, whatever. And I'm not going to name the company. It was a past one, so no one's going to know from my resume or anything. But they replaced a lot of the ways to contact them with chatbot, which was the big thing back, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. Chatbots, you know, like, it's amazing. I can say hi and it says hi back. So they did that. They gave in to the dark thoughts and the buzzwords.
They let the intrusive thoughts win.
Yes. And again, this was not anything I was a part of, not my team. But they just did this. And we had clients like trying to reach us on Twitter and Facebook and things like this because they're like, I can't get past your chatbot and your chatbot is not helping at all. And I don't have like figures and numbers, but it was not a good time. If they asked the other tech people, is this a good idea? Everyone probably would have said no. So that's the only buzzword I think involved that's actually made it in.
Okay, so our other guest decided that she was done for the night. So, so on your note that performance is king. So we don't exactly work in the same industries. Like I work in, you know, like automation. Like I worked with, you know, things that involve like conveyors or just materials handling, moving from stuff A to B. Performance is king in that, you know, if something takes a second longer than it should have, you know, a box or a bag or luggage or something could miss a divert point, and then it doesn't get on the plane that it's supposed to go on. Or in games, you know, it's like if a user, you know, a frame starts stuttering, they don't want to play that game anymore. But, you know, but still that performance is king applies throughout, you know, basically all tech industries.
And I was kind of disagreeing a little bit that a lot of people have started deciding that it's not. It's acceptable to, you know, take 2 seconds to load or 3 seconds or whatever. If it's a very specialized thing that people have been using for 2 decades, something like that, they're like, you know what, our clients will put up with it. Our clients are okay if it takes 3 seconds to load, whatever. I don't want to start naming companies, but you know a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
You go to edit a video, you load the program, and then the program takes 5 seconds and crashes. If it's something specialized, they're starting to get away with that, and that is a bad trend.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't like that trend.
I mean, I've raged against Microsoft, and they, I mean...
You said a word, okay.
I mean...
Don't sue us.
I mean, they won't because they don't care. You know, it's like I have raged against Visual Studio, Microsoft's flagship product, that has been in development for like 3 decades. Like it's almost as old as we are.
There you go. People are stuck using it, or they think they're stuck using it, and they're like, "Hey, we can make it a little shitty and still make money, so let's do that."
Or it's like there's no reasonable alternative that like ties everything together. I mean, there's other products like ReSharper and Sea Lion and stuff like that that have made an attempt to, but
Yeah.
I mean, you don't use Visual Studio. Like, I mean, I
I
have.
tried it, and it locked up many times and was slow, and I couldn't use it. I stopped using it.
And it's like they had 30 years to get it right,
Well,
which
they
is
got
crazy.
it right at some point and then diverted, but
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the life cycle of anything. There's a company, they start going up, they do good stuff with good products, they do right by their customers, and then eventually someone's like, hey, what if we put a little bit of poison in the baby formula? We can make more money, and then it's like, whew.
It's like, I can't think of, I know it's a word that may get thrown around a lot, but it's like, I can't think of anything other than privilege. You know, it's like companies have the magnanimous privilege of being able to make critical mistakes
Yeah.
and still moving forward. Like with Bethesda being able to put out back-to-back flops repeatedly, and they still have a price tag of $7 billion to Microsoft.
It's a little bit monopolies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hate to start getting into, like, America as a whole and communism and this and socialism and capitalism. But, I mean, it's a little bit monopolies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that they're the only ones in the field at all whatsoever. Someone's going to scream, you have choices. But, you know, when you have, like, 4 or 5 choices and those parent companies have 10,000 child brands, but they're still the same parent company, you have a lot less choice than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get together and then they're like, hey, let's shake hands. We're both going to do the shitty thing at once. And then we're still going to make money. So they do that.
I mean, it is really unfortunate when you have, like, you know, maybe pharmaceutical companies maybe doing things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But at least in tech, there's sort of like, at least with stuff I like doing, like with like video games or things like that. Or, you know, I have, you know, a really good friend of mine who's an artist. And, you know, you like to write and do stories and things like that. It's like people are putting their passion into, you know, handmade stuff where it's like, you know, maybe there's a viable alternative. And it's like, you know, everybody likes to call it the indie community. You know, it's like indie games, indie writing, indie art. But it's like more and more people are starting to realize the potential. And it's like with me, I'm like, software doesn't have to be that complicated. You know, it's like, I like to think of how I do things as like simple solutions to complex problems. Even
That's
though
the way it should be. If it's running well, you shouldn't need like 11 million whatever lines of bloated code to do like one simple thing.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, we're here to talk about your book, you know.
We're going all around. We're coming back to it.
I mean, I was about to, you know, get to the point that, you know, you agree with me that C is the best language. But,
No.
oh, there's an alternative?
Alright, we fight about programming languages all the time, but whichever one works for the thing that you are doing is the best. Whether you need to interface with a certain API, you need to use this, you need to use Python, you know. You can have the right language with the right software stack, but if you try to solve every single problem in C, no.
Unfortunately, we're not elves. We don't get to live for millennia.
Yeah.
We're not immortal. So,
I wish.
well, so about your book. You know, so you wrote this as, like, I think I've got the picture of it right here. An allegory of abuse consequences avalanching across a family and generations, you know. So, like, this doesn't have to be, like, you know, geared toward, you know, like your specific audience, but, like, you know, anyone, you know, who's reading your book. You know, it's like, what's the... it's like they heard the message from you through your book, you know, to basically stop the cycle. But it's like you, Jenna Recktenwald, speaking to someone who's, like, reading your book, whether it's your target audience or not. It's like, what would you tell them as, like, encouraging to either stop the cycle or, you know, do the thing or just be better for those that you care about?
I think sometimes it's a little hard to be super, like, happy, peppy, hopeful, Because a lot of times, if you're in a bad situation or you've already gone through it, you're now an adult, or you see one happening with a kid you know or you're related to, it's hard to be super happy peppy. I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, oh, there's rainbows and kittens, just believe better, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No, a lot of times it gets worse before it gets better. There's a lot of crying, there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of, you know, depending on your situation, you might need police and CPS, and you might need to be at a shelter for a while, or you might need to be giving that person food, or, you know. There's a million different situations this could apply to, and I'm not an expert in any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I just had my personal situation, and yeah, I wouldn't want to mislead them that it's going to be rainbows and sunshine immediately, but the main point is it's worth it. It is the right thing to do. I think especially with women, a lot of times we're kind of molded to be kind of quiet, submissive. I know there's a lot of debate if this is the nature of women or if this is societal pressure. I think a lot of it is societal, cultural. So, you know, you're a woman and someone says something mean, does something mean, and you're immediately told, like, be quiet, don't make a stir, don't be rude, you know, you gotta be polite, you gotta smile, you gotta, you know. And we hammer that into little girls, and then they become teenagers, and then they become women, and sometimes they're still there, like a little subdued, a little quiet, a little, should I say something? You know, he's only shoved me once, should I really, you know, I don't want to cause drama. He only shoved me a couple times, and that just keeps snowballing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what I would encourage people is it's like, you are worth it. You are worth making drama, making waves, making other people, if they're going to say, oh, I hate you now because you no longer let me shove you, or whatever the situation is, whatever the abuse is, you're worth that. Go through the bad thing. Do it. Get through to the other side. It's worth it. Do it. Especially, well, I shouldn't say especially, but, you know, if this is for a kid, maybe not yourself, and you're like, well, it's not really my place. If you're seeing this bad situation and the other adults involved in this bad situation are not doing anything, guess who should be doing something? You. There's kind of the bystander effect too. Everyone, I think, has heard this, you know. If there's like a busy crosswalk and cars and pedestrians, and someone all of a sudden has like a heart attack, really dramatic, and they fall down in the middle of the crosswalk, there's like 50 people all around and cars stopped, everybody. And you'll be surprised, not one person will call 911 sometimes, because they all assume someone else did it, or someone else should do it. Maybe this person has family right next to them, they should do it. Or maybe that guy in the car is an EMT, they should do it. And no one does anything. Or they do something after a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that bystander effect definitely happens in abuse situations or family situations with a lot of bad cycles and stuff going on. You know, you say, well, you know, I know this father gets really drunk and his kids always seem scared, but, you know, is it really my place to do something? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Cause waves to do something, you know. I wouldn't want anyone to get in trouble or get hurt. Obviously, there's a smart way to do things. When people are getting out of abusive situations, it does often get worse. Sometimes there is danger there. You do have to do it in a smart way. So I'm not saying, you know, run in the middle of it and just scream. But start somewhere. Call a hotline. Ask for advice for your specific situation. Talk to a very trusted friend, talk to a therapist, talk to a licensed teacher, talk to a doctor, talk to someone to start getting a safe plan, to start doing action. Don't just say it's not my deal, or, oh, I don't want to cause drama, I just should be good and be very quiet and not, you know, cause trouble. I would rather be that hated person where all the narcissists in the family are just like, you're the worst person that ever existed, and be like, yeah, but I stopped you from hitting that kid, or whatever it is. I'm like, yeah, call me a bitch, call me whatever you want.
Like, is it really all that bad to be, like, you know, there's certain, like, people, it's like, you know, you're doing okay based on certain opinions that people have of you, right? Like, if, you know, someone who, has, and like, and this isn't like judgmental or anything to people who do struggle with such things, but it's like, if someone, uh, who is like, who's been, married 5 times and says, hey, you might be a little too nice to your spouse or something like that. It's like, the fact that you have a negative opinion about me,
Yeah.
says that, I might be on the right track. Is it really all that bad to be seen in a negative light by toxic people?
Exactly. If the narcissists or abusers in the family circle, the friend circle, the whatever circle it is, suddenly hate your guts and they're spreading rumors about you and stuff like that, it doesn't feel good initially. It might feel worse to start.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to look at it a little objectively and go, if that person that like hits kids or whatever hates my guts and says I'm a loser, I'm happy. I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of life story a little bit. There's definitely some family members that probably hate my guts, but I'm like, at the same time, my daughter's sleeping peacefully in the next room.
Mm-hmm.
There's not drunken stuff. There's not screaming. There's not stuff breaking. There's not bad stuff happening. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sit over here smiling really big, and you can just hate me all you want.
It's a peaceful life.
It's a very peaceful life.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the hopeful part of it. You're gonna go down. There's gonna be some people screaming at you. How dare you? How blah blah blah. There's gonna be some drama. That'll happen. But then you get on the upswing. You get your peace back. You get your safety back. You get to sleep at night. You get to not have nightmares. You get to see the people around you that are good and you kept in your circle, happy for you and having more peace. They don't have to worry. Oh, I hope so-and-so isn't hurting that person. They just get to know that you're doing good and
Mm-hmm.
you're good to them. And the upswing is worth it. My upswing took, from the start of planning to actually getting away from some of those people, that was a long time. That was better part of a decade.
Mm-hmm.
But dang, it is worth it. Start, do it. You know your situation best. You have to do it in a safe way.
Mm-hmm.
But start. That's kind of what I hope people take away
Mm-hmm.
from the book. And maybe you don't have that situation. Maybe you're a lucky person that doesn't have that in anyone you see, anyone in your circle, anyone in your family. I'm jealous. But also, it is just a fun novel besides that.
Mm-hmm.
There's drama, there's things happening, there's mystery, there's the reveal, there's the scary thing, there's the uptick, the person got saved, and then,
Mm-hmm.
it's a fun novel besides that.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a feeling, the person that had the good childhood and the good people around them would read it and go, that was cool. And then the other person that had drama, that had bad stuff, they'd be just crying and like, I'm scared.
Mm-hmm.
I know I have to change something now, but I'm scared.
And it's not that it's like you would want them to feel bad, but it's like you
No.
want them to feel encouraged. You want them to feel that it's like, hey, what you're experiencing isn't unique in that you're not the only person who's gone through this.
Oh, yeah.
But also it's like it's not normal, and you don't have to accept it as normal.
Yep.
And be like, well, this is how I was raised, so, I have to subject my, family, friends, kids, whatever, to the same abuse that I went through, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, hey, this is what we do as a society,
This is what the family's done. This is what every parent in the family has done. Even if it's not physical, a lot of people think, oh, well, it's not really abuse.
Mm-hmm.
I just got screamed at and called fat and a loser and an idiot, and,
Mm-hmm.
that is still abuse. It
Mm-hmm.
comes in all flavors and all types. If you're scared around that person and depressed and
Mm-hmm.
everything is bad around that person, it's like, most likely, guess what? That's abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of like, I wouldn't expect someone to maybe immediately have great giant grin on their face if this is applicable to them.
Mm-hmm.
They might be a little fearful. They might be, kind of having the scales drop from their eyes of, kind of a lot of gaslighting that, oh, I wasn't abused. I just got screamed at all the time,
Yeah.
They might feel a little bad immediately, and then just encouraged to make the first step, though, and
Mm-hmm.
get on that upswing, because you will be on that upswing eventually.
And I'll say it's like it's one of those things where it's like you suddenly realize that yes, you did experience trauma, even if
Yeah.
you think that this may be and it's like you may think that this is quote unquote normal, but you know, there's a. I remember it's like you and I were sharing like our life stories with a group, and I
Yeah.
got to. It was like my turn to share my life story, and it was like, you know, I just told it, and then when I finished, people were like looking at me funny, and they were like, oh God, I'm so sorry," and I was like, oh my God, I've been traumatized,
It's like
like.
we're trying to make jokes during our stories, telling, fun family stories. And then when people are like crying and wanting to hug you afterward, you're like, oh, okay.
And it's like, you know, my backstory's not super important here, but it's like,
Your story is important.
but it's, well, I just meant like for this
Okay, I'm just
conversation.
saying though, it is important.
Yes, absolutely.
Whatever level it is, it's important to you.
And yeah, I wasn't saying like mine wasn't like important at all. I just meant within the context of this conversation.
Yeah.
But it's like I feel like people who have experienced that, those that are able to overcome that, there comes a moment when you realize that someone has hurt you. Like sometimes it's obvious, like you said, and it's not one of those realizations that happen overnight because it's like, you know, unfortunately you may have the actual scars to prove that something happened. But in the terms of just like just the constant just it's like chiseling away at your soul and the,
Yeah.
like just the oh you're stupid or you know the rage from a you know a narcissist person over like the smallest of things, and it's like that happens over the course of a long time and it's just like it just becomes white noise. And until the day you realize that it's like wait, my childhood wasn't normal and I've been abused, lied to, and it's like that's sort of the realization that I had when I told my story, and it's like it's a scary thing, but one thing I love about like our generation is that we are making it more mainstream to take care of our mental health. But someone is requesting our assistance at the moment. But so I just want to leave it with one parting thought. So you you came from a background like that. You left. You have a home of your own. You have pets, a daughter, a career that you enjoy and that you are pursuing. You, as people can see on the in the picture, you released a book. You get to cosplay and make costumes and stuff, and what I hope you have is a supportive partner.
Yes.
So someone who, if you had to offer advice to someone who, and like especially, I want to say like young girls who want to, they don't want to fall into the societal norm, but they also don't feel, like, oh, I'm not normal, and it's try to see that in a positive light, that it's like I can overcome this, I can break the cycle, I can find a supportive partner, I can find my own little corner of the universe, and whether that's house, apartment, whatever, just be independent, take care of themselves, have a family of their own, and a job that they enjoy, while at the same time, focusing on their passions. What would you say to that person?
Start with like nano steps, not even baby steps, nano steps. Like, first of all, just decide that you're gonna do it. Not doing it is not an option. Don't stay in if it's abuse, don't stay in the really oppressive culture. Whatever it is, someone is telling you, no, 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 you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're just a woman, or you're whatever it is. Decide that you're not going to do that. You're not going to put up with it, and then make plans. I said before, kind of, you got to do stuff in a safe way, because I am not ignorant to the fact that sometimes things are not safe to do immediately, you know, especially in abusive situations. But start making a plan. I was probably like, I don't know, 15, 16 when I was made up and started making that plan in my head. I didn't write it down. I didn't have it on a chalkboard. I didn't, nothing fancy. But I was just like, okay, I have to start getting some sort of career in order. I have to get money. Have to get out. Have to, just start work on nano steps. And those steps will be different for every person. Every situation is different. But think about it and start getting a nano step and then do a nano step. And even if people tell you not to, you're too dumb, you shouldn't do that, whatever. Chances are if a mean person is telling you not to or you can't, chances are you want to do exactly that thing. I don't know how many times I was told that I couldn't dare do that thing that I was doing. So I was like, good. I'm going to do that thing all the more. I'm going to do that thing so hard. Yeah, just start with small steps. Keep doing it. It's so kind of lame to say believe in yourself, but don't listen to people that want bad things for you. Don't listen to them. Start somewhere. And same, maybe you're not in an abuse situation. Maybe you just want to be more creative, want to have something like this. Do it. You can write a book. You can create a video game. You can film your own movie. It might not be one step to the exact thing you dream of. Obviously, you probably can't film a blockbuster movie in your backyard, but start. Pause the video right now, go start like a TXT document on your laptop or grab a notepad that's next to your desk and title it whatever the story is. Title it whatever the video game is or whatever your thing is. Start it. I wrote this book with a full-time job with an extremely needy husband. No. with a husband, with pets, with later pregnancy and daughter. I had so many things going on, but I would pick up my phone, have a Google Doc for the book, and I would type in maybe 3 words and then have to go deal with a pet accident or whatever it was. Sometimes you can do your dream 3 words at a time. It might feel discouraged if it's going a little slow, but you can still do it. Just start. And don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for the sun and the moons to align and all this stuff. Just start. It's put in the comments of this video if you got a book you're writing and it's dragonwars.txt or whatever it is. Put the title in the comments. I'm going to come to your YouTube comment 2 years from now and be like, where is it? I want to read it. You can do it. Especially now in the age of the internet. You could put it for free online. You could put it with a little paywall online. You could do whatever you want. It's the internet. So that has opened a lot of doors for people. You don't have to wait for a huge amount of funding or something. Start with baby steps. It might not be the thing that you have in your dream immediately plucked out, but you will have a thing that you complete and you will be so happy and proud, and then you'll start on the next thing, and then, maybe years from now I will have a blockbuster legit movie made from one of my books. Maybe. I'm taking steps. First step is out there. The Red God, available on Amazon. If anyone can't afford it, or maybe you're a kid and you don't have a bank account or something, just email me or go to my website contact form. I'll send you a free version. I want people to read it. I'm not just trying to make money off it. If it sounds like it's interesting, sounds like it would help you, I will send you a free PDF or whatever so you can read it.
So basically be curious enough to start and stubborn enough to not stop.
Yes, especially if people are telling you, that's not very good. Take constructive criticism. Nothing's perfect in the first place. I'm glad people told me, fix this typo or this or that. Be humble enough to take constructive criticism. But if it's not constructive, if it's someone just telling you you're dumb, women can't write, or women whatever it is, just laugh at them and move on. Keep doing it. Do the thing.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's enough to land the plane. I think that's a wrap. So thank you so much for coming onto my channel, finally. It's great to, I was hoping to be able to be able to put your face on here at some point, because you really are an awesome person, and you inspire me to, do what I do on this channel. And it's like, just keep going and don't stop. And you never know if that journey of just going, just starting, is going to be enough to encourage the next person who can do something great.
Yeah.
It's like people need so little encouragement, and sometimes all they need to hear is a single good job, or you can do it, or there is light at the end of the tunnel and you can escape it.
Yes. If anyone needs more encouragement, message me, find me on social media or something. I will just be like, do the thing.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yep.
That's my wife, by the way.